is April 21st, 2025, and I'd like to welcome you to the Manatee County Tourist Development Council meeting. We will start out today with our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. Do we have anybody leading the pledge today?
Sure.
Tony, go for it. Lead the pledge and the invocation. Let's stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yeah. Invocation?
Yeah.
All right. We can sit. It's okay.
Whatever's comfortable for you. Dear Heavenly Father, God, thank you so much for this opportunity for us to come together, God. We are one nation under God. Lord, I pray that you bless this meeting. I pray for wisdom and discernment for those up here who are advisory to the Manatee County Board of Commissioners. God, I pray for forever speaking. I pray for an effective tongue, God. I pray for wisdom. And God, I pray that all together that we honor you this morning. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, now we will move on to our TDC member introductions, and we will start with Dan Diggins.
Okay,
Those are very touchy mics.
I could tell. I'm Dan Diggins. I'm a commissioner at Holmes Beach. I'm chair of the commission out there. And good morning, everybody.
Push it hard. There you go.
Good morning, Gene Brown, Mayor, City of Bradenton.
Amanda Ballard, I am Manatee County Commissioner for District 2.
Good morning, Rahul Patel, Red Roof in Allenton.
Good morning. Tony DeRusso, Palmetto Marriott Resort and Spa.
Norma Kennedy, interested citizen.
David Wick, interested citizen.
Elliot Falcioni, Tourism Director.
Wonderful. So now we have our meeting minutes from February 24th. And we need to have those approved. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Any changes or issues?
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? All right. The minutes are approved. Now we can move on to public comment on just anything that you want to talk about with relation to our TDC. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment. And Elliot, did you have something you wanted to?
Just the next agenda item whenever you're ready.
Sure, I am ready. Let's talk about the Maritime Museum
Great,
pop-up.
great, thank you. As many of you know, we don't like to look back, we like to look forward. But part of the aftermath of the storms compromised the Maritime Museum at Cortez Village. Special place, special community. And met with Phaedra and the clerk of the court several weeks ago. And what we've come up with was, and I'm trying to protect Phaedra, all she needs to do is do a little commercial here. But what we wanted to recommend is to showcase all the relics from the Maritime Museum while the county and the clerk of the court are working on renovating that schoolhouse. We don't want it to be hidden for well over a year. So what Phaedra came up with, there's a strip mall right where the Anna Maria Oyster Bar is in Cortez Road. There is some store space there. And what we want to do is, with your recommendation, is move a lot of the relics over to that and create what we call a museum pop-up. And then we would work with Phaedra and her team to cross-promote it with our tourists, with our residents, that would really just buy us time to work on that schoolhouse. You know, the Cortez Village is an amazing community for tourists that come off the island to utilize all those amenities. The History Center, of course, the seafood right there. It's a special place. So we hope that we can work with the county to figure out a way to get that museum renovated sooner than later. And we did speak to Michelle Davis the grants writer for the county as well, you know, looking for different types of grants for historic preservation as well. So with that, it's a $60,000 ask for a recommendation. But Madam Chair, before you ask for that recommendation, we'll give Phaedra here time to say hello and cross-check anything that I misspoke upon.
Thank you, Elliot. Good morning, Commissioner, Mayor, and members of the TDC. My name is Phaedra Dolan. I'm Director of Historical Resources for the Manatee County Clerk of Circuit Court's office. With me is Tori Chasey. She is a supervisor of the Florida Maritime Museum. We are really looking forward to getting back in touch with our visitors and engaging them with the museum's collections again. The museum's already been closed for over a year. Current estimates have it opening right around mid-August of 2027. So we're looking for a way to bring back the visitors who normally would come out and visit us in Cortez. We are usually a really great touch point for people who are coming out to the fishing village and wanting to learn about our local culture there and one of the last remaining working fishing villages on the coast of Florida. We work really well with our community partners, the Cortez Village Historical Society, the Florida Institute for Saltwater Heritage, or also known as FISH. We hold great programs on the grounds of the museum, but it's just not quite the same as being able to welcome those visitors in to engage with the actual culture, the pieces, the physical properties that represent the fishing village of Cortez. So we thought out of the box, and we thought maybe this would be a great way to temporarily welcome our visitors back. As Elliot mentioned, it would take a little bit of marketing to make sure that people know where the temporary position is, but we would really appreciate your support in that effort. Do you have any questions for me?
Does anyone have questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Phaedra. Do we have a, oh, go ahead.
Madam Chair, no, just want to, I'd like to make the motion to recommend this. And my great-grandmother was, if not the first, one of the first teachers in that schoolhouse.
Wow.
In there. My dad knows the story a lot more than I do, obviously, but because the first three generations of my family from the mid-1800s up until the mid-1900s were fishermen in Cortez there. So I'd make a motion to approve to keep this history going as long as we can till we get it back.
Do we have a second? Second. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and that is, the recommendation is approved unanimously. Thank you very
all
much.
so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Elliot.
All right, we will move on to Clean Water Anna Maria Sound, and we will let Mr. Diggins introduce this item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Miller. She's a full-time resident on the island. She's been in the business of water technology and clean water for the better part of 30 years. She's worked for British Petroleum, Vulcan Water Technologies, Siemens, U.S. Filter, and she was a 15-year general manager for a water technology firm. So water is her passion, and she's very knowledgeable. So Jennifer will give us a quick briefing on the quality of water. This is both drinking water and bay water and Gulf water. Jennifer.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you to the TDC for this opportunity to speak with you this morning. I heard you, Tony. One of the best pieces of advice I got about giving presentations years ago from a colleague was the 3 Bs. Be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. So we'll try and keep this very high level and very short. There's something about water that draws you in. So whether you are in, on, or under it, you're a swimmer, you're a diver, you're a boater, you're a fisherman, you just like to sit on the beach and hear the waves, the sound of the waves. It's a happy place. And what better than the beautiful emerald green waters of the Gulf Coast here to enjoy just being in this environment. We, as residents, are incredibly fortunate to live where others come to play. And I think that also brings a responsibility for all of us to be great stewards of that resource and maintain it for many, many years to come for others to enjoy. So the Home Speech Clean Water Committee was formed a few years ago, and it's a very diverse group of residents with some very interesting backgrounds. John Kolodziejski, for example, was one of the original authors of the Clean Water Act. We have veterans, we have myself, we have just residents who've lived on the island a long time and cared deeply about how we look at water. So the thing that we have in common is we're all passionate about water. And we have a very, very simple mission in life, and that is to bring awareness, to educate, to prevent, and then if we're unable to do those two, to mitigate. And for any of you who've been in operations roles, you will know that if you can educate and prevent, it is much, much cheaper to do that than to remediate after the fact. One of the first things the committee did was to go out and reach out to the community, to government agencies, to nonprofit organizations, and bring in some incredible guest speakers who are much more experienced than we are in looking at our ecosystem and helping us to maintain and preserve this beautiful and pristine environment that we live in. Many of you are probably aware of a great program that was started by Mayor Judy Titsworth, who was born on the island, and lived on the island all her life. This is a grassroots program that's really started with school children to help educate them about things that we could do as a community to preserve our environment, and has really somewhat gone viral on using social media platforms. We have some incredible giveaways to the community, and it's all funded by local residents. It's not, whether it be stickers, we have T-shirts, all kinds of things like that. But the message really here is very simple. It's a 10-point program. You can go to the website and learn more about it. But it's very simple. For residents, it's less is better. What we do generally ends up in the water at some point in time. So the less of it we do, whether it's less fertilizer, after the storm, a lot of us lost vegetation in our yards, putting back Florida-friendly landscaping, which requires less irrigation, less pesticides, that kind of thing. Manatee County, by the way, has an incredible program with extension, UF extension on Florida-friendly landscaping. And for our visitors, obviously, it's hard for them to use a lot of reusable containers if they're going to restaurants and things like that. But it's leave no trace. So that's a program that was started by, I think, the National Parks program. But building that awareness and, through the Chamber of Commerce, through emails, through social media, just to try and remind people that this is a beautiful place and that we can all do something very simple without actually spending any money whatsoever to keep it that way. There are times, though, where situations happen. For example, yesterday we had a very strong easterly wind coming across the bay. Fortunately, we didn't have any algae situations resulting from that, but in the past there have been situations where algae in the bay, when it gets warmer, rises to the top and it goes into the canals. And sometimes it stays there, but there are things we can do to sort of help break that up when that happens. When the wind goes the other way, it pushes it back out again. And then, of course, the dreaded red tide, something that we're all very, very much familiar with, is a naturally occurring phenomenon. And it has a tremendous impact, not just on the quality of life for local residents, but also for tourist dollars. I think the good news is, though, we've been extremely fortunate not to have had any situations this year, but there is so much research out there that's going on, and I think just following some of the simple rules that the city came up with in their 10-point plan would help us in the long term mitigate the severity of some of those effects from red tide. And the good news is we do have technologies to help clean up the beaches. And they do a great job, by the way, with the backhoe when they come by and pick up the debris. Our priorities, again, are simple. Building awareness, preventing where we can, providing strategies and recommendations to the city to remediate where necessary. So we just have a simple ask of the TDC, and that is help us build that awareness through the program and the work that you're doing, and wherever possible, support some of these efforts to help keep our beautiful, beautiful beaches and waters clean for everybody to enjoy. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. The packet of data had a lot more things in it around clean water and other stuff, but for today, that's what we're going to talk about. Any questions?
I have a quick question, Dr. Miller. How do you believe that the TDC can best support your efforts?
So I mean, you have a wide reach through your work. So through your advertising programs, recognizing like the Islanders for Clean Water program, I think it's a great opportunity in a very positive way to bring awareness to for example, when folks are visiting the beach during turtle season, just to kick in there. We love their sandcastles, but kick them down at the end of the day
Sure.
so that the turtles can get up on the beach. Make sure that they pick up their trash when they leave it. So just supporting that. The ferry, I was talking to Elliot before, I think is a great opportunity to use that as an education program by having someone on there who's talking about the island. And, and it could be, I know you were talking about the college, but what about also maybe in the summer getting marine biology students to come and talk about the ecosystem. They can point out the birds. I mean, we have such amazing wildlife here. So those are things we can certainly do. And also where you have the opportunity to connect like with Florida-friendly landscaping, I think that's a huge opportunity. I recognize that's a cost for current residents, but where you have new builds, promoting that, you don't, if you go to, say, like, to one of the big box stores to buy plants, you can't buy any Florida-friendly plants there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame, because if you're moving down here from somewhere else, and a lot of us are transplants, you don't know what to plant in your yard. And so I think trying to sort of just build this awareness that there's so much we can do without requiring a lot of investment, but just being very thoughtful about how we approach things.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions, comments?
A couple comments, if that's all right,
Sure.
Madam Chair. Thank you. Great presentation. I appreciate it. What is the collaboration with the rest of the island, with Braden Beach? Obviously, have their mayor here today, and then Anna Marie Island down there. Obviously, it's one, and how is that working, or is that really in collaboration?
So on the committee, one of the first goals was to make sure it wasn't just representatives or residents of Holmes Beach. So we have residents of Anna Maria Island, and we've encouraged, in fact, we're going to have a position coming up open, that you don't even have to live on the island, right? Because I think we have to think about this holistically as the whole of Manatee County and beyond that. I mean, what we all do wherever we lived. I lived in Bradenton, the city of Bradenton, before I moved out to the island. And it's just as impactful what you do there as what you do on the island. So we'd love to have a representative who lives in Bradenton come and sit on the committee, because it's for all of us. It's really not, it's called Islanders for Clean Water, but really it's all about the whole coast, because we all have a role to play there. So if you have someone you think would be a great opportunity for them to come sit with us and talk and give their thoughts on how we can all work together, that would be great.
And obviously, as you look through the storms this past year, we saw a lot of misinformation out there about things that were going on. And, obviously the city of Bradenton has its Face It and Fix It, something we haven't caused per se, the current boards. A lot of these boards didn't cause things, but we got to make sure that we're good stewards going forward. And we saw that the over 10 billion gallons of stormwater in reality probably did more harm because of all that washing into it. But one of the good things I heard that Mayor Titsworth said, that it was kind of like a flushing of our system too. So, you know, the system flushed last year with all the water and things that happened, but now it's clean a little bit, let's keep it going. And then I just want to commend the county, and I think the TDC was part of that, with getting the proper equipment. Because when we do have a red tide or a fish kill,
Yes.
and sometimes the red tide might not even be here, but the fish end up here.
Yes, yeah.
That they do a great job at getting our beaches clean as quick as
Absolutely.
possible. And I want to commend the county commissioners for doing that.
I would say that the cleanup job that the county did was exemplary after the storm. Just watching it, you guys did a great job. Everybody did a great job, I think.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, yes, and we have some really amazing staff. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, Dr. Miller said it. We started the Love It Like a Local initiative. I think it was one of the, maybe the only time all the mayors were represented together in this chamber when we launched it. And really, it's just educating the visitors that come here that really, they don't know what they don't know. Sometimes they do things that they know they shouldn't be doing, so we remind them through a child's voice on educating adults, even the turtle season. So that'll be ongoing. I think that's the low-hanging fruit
it is, yeah.
to continue to educate our visitors on how to handle themselves while they're in our community. Hence, Love It Like a Local. Mayor, you said it. Mismessaging, and there's some balances there. I'll give you one example. The front end loaders that float on the water, unbelievable. We're cutting edge in Manatee County. This was several years ago. Everybody was so excited to showcase it when we had very mild red tide in the bay, and there was not many dead fish floating. And we collaborated internally to say, let's hold off on a press release, because what it does is, remember, you have a community that the visitors come back over and over and over, and they love it like we love it living here. And what does that mean? They read the paper daily. So if there was an announcement that Manatee County has these front-end loaders and they're cleaning up some dead fish from red tide, the optics are, oh my gosh, let's not go on vacation because there's a red tide problem, when there wasn't. So there's some balances there. Do we want to tell stories? Absolutely. It's how we tell that doesn't compromise what we're doing, and it doesn't provide mismessaging. Because if it does, like coming out of the hurricanes when there was some national mismessaging, you all helped us pull $500,000 to correct that mismessaging to keep the economy going. So there are balances there. Staff is trained, they're supposed to be trained how to handle best practices. So how do we continue to educate in a very accurate manner? Do we want to hide any problems? Absolutely not. We want to be consistent and accurate, but be careful on how we message that's going to bleed into the marketplace.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and Dr. Miller, we'll continue to collaborate.
Yes, absolutely.
We're lockstep with you. Talked to Mayor Titsworth about it last time we came out and visited her as well. So we're all in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Daines?
Yeah. Dr. Jenny, just a quick comment. When I drive across the bridge all the time, I look into the bay, and the bay clearly looks cleaner.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Do you actually have a measurement of the quality of the bay, or are we still waiting for that?
So there are a number of organizations that regularly publish the health of the bay. The Tampa Bay Estuary Program does it, and so does Sarasota Bay Estuary Program. It's a little bit tough because the line between the two of those is the 64th bridge, so we kind of get left out in that bit in the middle. So I think the State of the Union for Sarasota Bay is excellent. The State of the Union for our side is good, but I think we could still do more to sort of get some of the levels of nitrogen and chlorophyll down that would help to keep making that bay better and better. But that can happen over time, to what Mayor Brown was saying. It's not, you can't sort of just click your fingers and simply fix everything all at once.
And I heard also there's a lot of debris in the bay from the storm, and it's a good news, bad news story for some of the debris that's in there, like the the dumpsters and things like that. There's barnacles growing on them. So that's not necessarily a bad thing to have barnacles growing on them, but a lot of things are being removed from, there's a volunteer group that's removing it. Do you have any comments on that?
There was a big cleanup, I think, a week ago in Cortez, and they said that they took an unusual amount of debris out. So I know that some of the cities, if you call them, if you see something, say something, I think. And I know that they've been very responsive in coming out, pulling docks, and you were saying that the trash bins, I think, are two of the things. Some of those eventually might break down, but yes, definitely we have to rely on boaters to find some of those issues that could be obstructions to our channels and waterways and remove those where we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, we have the introduction of our new research firm, Downs and St. Germain.
Madam Chair, Dr. Joe St. Germain came down from Tallahassee yesterday. Thank you, Joe, for being here. Just a little, I'm going to let him give his background, but they're one of the leaders in the state of Florida. Joe's a real humble guy. And they're also contracted with Visit Sarasota, so it's going to be really nice to have that regional statistics from time to time, especially when we're negotiating at the table with airlines. And Joe's not new to us. If you can remember, coming out of COVID, you did some virtual focus groups with us as well. So he knows about the characteristics of our destination and our target to be really, really dangerous. So, but we're happy to have him and his team on board, and we're excited to have him introduce himself to us this morning. So welcome, Joe.
Hey, thank you for having me. Again, Joseph St. Germain, I'm the president of Downs and St. Germain Research. Also with me is Isaiah Lewis. He's our director of client relations. He lives closer than Tallahassee, so you'll probably see a lot of our, if we're ever presenting, it's probably going to be one of us for the most part. Elliot's asked to give a little bit of background on us. I'm not going to spend a lot of your time, you're busy people. But we were started in 1983. We've been working in tourism since the 90s when we worked with Visit Tallahassee and when Chris Thompson was there, who's now retired from Brand USA. As Elliot mentioned, we have done a lot of the work. A lot of our work has been in Florida. We currently will be working on a visitor tracking and economic impact study for your team. We're currently doing that study with 15 other counties in the state of Florida, and also particularly Southwest Florida, from Manatee to Collier County. We work with every county there. So while we can't always provide you their data, well, we can't do that, but what we can do is have an understanding of what it is and look at the context of how you stand compared to your neighbors and across the state. I think that's an important thing. Anytime we do any data point, it's not just about the number, providing the context to that and understanding what's going on in this world. Beyond that, I will say, as we look at things, so the goals of this study that we're going to be working with you is to document the economic impact of tourism so you understand what that is, but then also helping Elliot and his team get data on your visitors so you can better market the destination. So a little bit on the work that we're going to do with you. Right now, we're currently in process. We've met with your team. We've sent a revised questionnaire. Your questionnaire isn't going to change too much from what you did previously, but we also, anytime you come into a project new, you want to look at it and say, hey, are there questions we're not asking? Is there anything else we need to know? So we want to make sure of that. One of the things that aren't going to change, it will still be representative by geography. We're going to work with partners to make sure we're getting from all different types of visitors and that kind of thing. Because our biggest goal when we're doing research is representativeness. You can't talk to all the millions of people who come here, but your goal is to make sure who we talk to represents that group of people. We're hiring our staff. Most of our data collection will be done via intercept interviews, basically people with iPads while they're in the market. The reason we like to do it that way, that's the best data you can get. What did you spend yesterday? You have a much better idea of what you spent yesterday than what you did a couple months ago. So that's why that's important to us. And we're going to hire locals. Part of what we spend will be hiring local staff to go out in the community and throughout our process. We'll be putting reports together. Those will look a little bit different than they may have previously, but also when we put a report together, we're trying to make it so it's usable. One of the things we're trying to make it is just make it as easy to understand as we can. And then on top of all that, if you have any other questions, or if you're like, hey, I'm always looking for this figure, but it's always on slide 68, can you put it up front so I can find it? We want to make it so you can use it. That's really our goal. You know, you can do a research project, it can sit on a shelf and it doesn't do anything. We want things to get actionable data. And then finally, as we've mentioned, you will have questions along the way. Elliot's team will have questions, a variety of people have questions. And one nice thing about doing a study like this, you're getting a lot of data that can help us answer questions in the future that we didn't know were going to be asked. And that's really, as we do this, we consider this part of our job. We're not going to nickel and dime you because you asked an additional question that wasn't in the report. That's what we're trying to do. And then what we're also always trying to do is provide the context for which it is. Sometimes numbers go up and sometimes numbers go down, but sometimes there's micro reasons for that. Sometimes there's macro reasons. You know, at the start of COVID, no one asked why are numbers down. There was a context there. Sometimes that context is right in front of your face. That is one of the things that we try to do, is just stay in front of tourism as a whole, but specifically Florida tourism, to provide that context. That is more than just, it's not just numbers. We're trying to use it to tell a story. So as I mentioned, as we work together, you will have more questions. That's what we're here for. We're trying to answer those questions. There isn't any data to present today because we're just getting up and running. We're still hiring some staff and everything, but it really is our pleasure to be here. I take great joy in doing this. I found something I was good at with numbers, and then found the environment that I love, which is tourism. So this is why we do what we can, what we do. And then so there'll be more numbers on future days, but today we just want to open up, want to say hello. Really just thankful to be here and open up to any questions any of the board may have.
Any questions or comments?
If I can start, Madam Chair. Joe, thanks so much. You can see he's a seasoned veteran. This is going to be new to us. Research data was with us since 2009. So there's institutional knowledge there. What's fair to Joe and accurate for us is once he gets ramped up, and you'll start seeing some reporting for the June TDC meeting, is we're not going to compare to year the first year, okay? Research is pretty consistent, but methodology is a little bit different, okay? Will we compare and give estimates of visitation and tax collection? Absolutely. Will we know average daily rates and occupancy? Absolutely. The interceptors are really, really important, boots on the ground. Joe and I have talked about partnering with college students as well in the hospitality industry, give them some experience. We'll be asking water ferry questions as well, aside from a lot of the other questions geographically. So it'll be spread out. Anna Maria Island, mainly at the beaches, the River Walk in downtown Bradenton. We're going to be mobilizing at the convention center once that ramps up. The outlet mall is a hot spot that's really, really important. And then the airport is going to be really important. Remember, I've always said marketing is very artistic with a little bit of science, okay? We have two really good marketing people. You'll meet Kelly here in a second, and Colby. But you can't put them both around the same table and they have the same opinion because they're both artists, okay? But they have the philosophy and the objectives that we've tasked them. The science component is we're looking at them right there, so we're very targeted. I'm the weird tourism director that has a less is more mindset. Let's bring less visitors, more quality visitors that are likely to return to convert into a real estate or business owner. That's how Florida was built, okay? Being very targeted, that's digital attack of advertising. You won't see us going traditional too often. There's two markets that are mature, and I'm going to wind down here, Commissioner, is New York, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So you may be in Manhattan, you see, maybe it'd be a weird one, but you may see a billboard saying, you know, come to the Bradenton area, because they already know the characteristics of our destination. They've probably already been there. And what that's saying, if you're at a Pirate game in Pittsburgh, it's saying, hey, when you and your family are ready to come on vacation, don't forget about us, okay? Everywhere else are immature markets. So very targeted, very artistic to be able to grab that target within 3 seconds or less and get them to immerse themselves into the characteristics. Without Joe, we're just shooting in the dark, okay? So they work hand in hand, so we're really excited. Once we get through 12 months, then we'll go back and compare. And like I mentioned it, I talked to my counterpart with Visit Sarasota, Aaron Duggan, and Joe's agrees twice a year he's going to give regional data, because that's what the network planners of the airlines really, really want. Instead of me giving mine, Erin giving hers, and then the network planner's got to kind of mesh them all together. So we're real excited. He's a pro's pro, and we're going to challenge him. He's going to challenge us for the greater good. So thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Joe, and welcome. We're excited to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, Tony?
I just want to say, Joe, looking forward to working with you. My team and my staff at the Palmetto Marriott, we're here to help you and dig in and get as micro as we possibly can. So welcome to the team, and look forward to working with you.
It truly is our pleasure, and your staff did a great job last night, as that's where I stayed last night.
Right, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and now we have our Global Affairs update with Kelly Clark and Olivia Staudy.
Madam Chair, I think you've all met Kelly. She's our most veteran marketing and communications director, and she's been overseeing the global affairs market. Obviously, I'll just say societal trends right now is a little bit like a yo-yo. But we're staying the course. We're going to limit our knee-jerking thoughts. And I'll explain a little bit maybe later. I may color commentate Kelly here a little bit, but the international market, as she'll tell, is a very important part of the business for the economy.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kelly Clark. I am the Director of Global Affairs for the Bradenton Area CVB. And today we're going to talk all things international visitation. Going back to the basics, who they are, where they come from, how they're getting here, how they book. And then we're going to talk about a few top-level post-hurricane campaigns that we ran in the fall and winter. So jumping right in, why is the international market important to the Bradenton area? Economic impact. So in a normal year, our international visitor is bringing in $400 million of economic impact to the Bradenton area. That's because they stay longer and spend more money than any of our other visitors. And they bring seasonal balance. So typically they visit during our shoulder season, giving businesses that little extra push between September and January time period. So who are our international markets? Our number one feeder market is the United Kingdom, and that includes Scotland and Ireland. Second is Germany, which includes the German-speaking countries of Austria and Switzerland. And then a new market for us is the Netherlands. And that actually opens up Scandinavia to us, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. So how are they getting here? We actually have a significant amount of airlift from Tampa International Airport, making it very easy for our top markets to reach us. Starting off in the UK, British Airways flies nonstop from Gatwick to Tampa, and Virgin Atlantic flies nonstop from Heathrow to Tampa. Both of those are daily year-round service. Over in Germany, Discover Airlines is flying nonstop from Frankfurt to Tampa, and that's year-round service as well. I don't have it on here, but Switzerland also has Edelweiss Air that flies nonstop from Zurich to Tampa. And then just last year in the Netherlands, Delta launched a nonstop flight from Amsterdam to Tampa. And that opens up the Scandinavian market for us because the Scandinavians typically fly through Amsterdam to get to the United States. And then, of course, our partners over at the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport. They host all the major air carriers, as you know, so there's plenty of layover options, especially with the Virgin Delta connection, but one that you might not know is JetBlue. JetBlue flies nonstop from London to both Boston and New York. And we have both of those flying into SRQ with JetBlue. So that just opens up some more avenues for us to get the internationals here. So how does the international traveler book? They actually book very different from the domestic market. When you and I book a vacation, we go online, we book our flights, we book our hotel, we book our rental car, we do that all ourselves online. The international traveler is actually still using a travel agent. So over 80% of international travelers are using a travel agency to book what they call their holiday. Why are they doing that? It's a one-stop shop for them, so they can get their flights, their hotels, and their rental car all under one neat package. They've built trust with their local travel agency, so they might have a travel advisor that they've worked with for all of their holidays. And most importantly, they insure their travel. So if they decide that something happens, or if they're here and something happens, there's a hurricane, God forbid, then they're insured and they get their money back. So our job is to make sure that we're working with tour operators and receptives to contract with our area hotels and our rental management companies to make sure that they have our product and our destination able to sell through these travel agencies. So if you want to work with the international market, you have to be working with tour operators. Okay, so we're going to talk about just a couple of our post-hurricane recovery campaigns. Not all of them, just a few, because I only have 10 minutes. But firstly, and most importantly, we went to World Travel Market the first week of November, so right after the hurricanes. This is where you do one-on-one meetings with tour operators, travel agents, and media, and that really gave us the chance to control the narrative, to be able to meet with them in person and explain what the state of the destination was. This was invaluable to us because the tour operators had said that pretty much the west coast of Florida was on stop sale for them until summer 2025. So I was able to discuss with them, let them know that the damage wasn't as bad as what the news had portrayed, and that we would be open for business and ready for bookings as early as December. So that was really vital for me to be there. With that, we also sponsored the Visit Florida Partner Activation that was held in London. This took place at Frameless, which is an immersive art museum in London. We had 2 rooms where the sponsored destination only were portrayed on the walls. So you can see here the first room is a much smaller room, but it has that mirrored effect to it. Even the ceilings were mirrored, and you'll see that's Longboat Key Pass there. And then on the right-hand side, actually, Leanne, I might need you to hit the play button for me. This was more of a 360-degree room, so it made you feel like you were actually standing in the destination. This is Village of the Arts, so it makes you feel like you're standing in the village. And then there was a seamless transition into Robinson Preserve. And you can see they're utilizing the whole space. So the ceiling, the floor was all shown, the preserve was all shown around. Our logo was on the floor as well as flying over on the top. And then we also had some transition to beaches in other parts of the county. But this just kind of gives you an idea of what it was like. It definitely doesn't do it justice. It was pretty spectacular in person. These are the rooms again. You can see downtown Bradenton there. But this was an all-day event. So it started in the morning. We brought in travel agents, and we had a travel agent breakfast with them, and then we invited them to come view the galleries. After that, we had one-on-one meetings with them where we could do sales trainings, and we could also then, again, give them the state of the destination and let them know they could go ahead and book travel to the destination. In the afternoon, I'm going to have you go ahead and press play on that video on the right as well. In the afternoon, we hosted a VIP lunch for travel writers, journalists, and influencers. You can see this is more of an intimate setting. It was a great time. We were able to network. I was actually able to secure a few content creators to come to the destination after this and showcase the beauty of the destination, what it looked like in that month of November, right after the hurricanes. So that was really important to us. And then in the evening, we actually took out the furniture in the big room and we put in tables and we had a nice VIP dinner for our top tour operators, that's South Florida, airline executives, and some of the top national media. So they were able to see it as well. Okay, so post-hurricane, we knew we had to bring in a travel expert, and we knew we had to get the timing just right. We wanted the island to have its best foot forward. We wanted most of that debris to be at least somewhat cleaned up. We wanted some of the businesses to be ready and open. But we also wanted to hit right before peak booking season, which is about mid-January through February. So we brought in Simon Calder. Simon is nationally known as the travel expert in the UK. He's also the official travel correspondent for the BBC. He's a highly respected travel journalist. He writes for multiple national news outlets. Basically, when there's any travel news, anything's going on in the airline industry, anything's going on even in just the economy, they bring in Simon to answer the hard questions and to discuss with the nation what's going on. So he was a great person. We knew we wanted him, so we got him in. He came in the beginning of January. He got to see the destination for himself, and then he wrote a beautiful article on the destination, but he also brought in a film crew, and he did a 10-minute feature on our destination. This ran in The Independent, which is one of the largest national newspapers and news sites in the UK. I don't have the 10-minute video to show to you today, but I do have a 1-minute quick clip that I just want to show real quick.
I first came to Florida in the 1980s. Yes, I was very young, thank you. Since then, I've returned many times and explored every corner of the Sunshine State. When I need somewhere authentic and serene in which to unwind, I head for the West Coast, and in particular Bradenton and Anna Maria Island, lapped by the Gulf of Mexico, rich in old Florida charm and embraced by nature. Come and explore with me. No stress, just bliss, and another amazing sunset. In the course of a week, I've dined on freshly caught seafood, kayaked through mangroves, and felt the sand between my toes on pristine beaches. This is Florida as it used to be, and thankfully, in one corner of the Sunshine State, still is.
So one of the stipulations for this is that we wanted to make sure it was very clear that it was filmed in 2025. We didn't want people to think that that was repurposed content or that this was from 2 years ago. We wanted them to know that Simon was there in 2025 and this is what the destination looked like currently. All right, so moving on, some added brand awareness we did during peak booking season. Kind of a fun thing, we wrapped 8 black taxi cabs and branded them with Bradenton area logos. We actually don't have any professional photos of it yet, but we do have a model. So you can take a look at that here. You can even see there's branding on the top. So if you're like way up high and you look down, you would still be able to see our logo. So this just gave top of mind brand awareness to let people know that we were open for business. Perfectly started at the beginning of peak booking season. It's running for 6 months. The campaign hasn't even wrapped up yet. Like I said, we don't have any professional photos, but we were lucky enough that a friend of ours spotted one in London and snapped a picture and sent it our way. And then on the right, a well-known local influencer, Molly Boyd, saw our taxi cab in London, and she took a picture and she put it on her social, on her Instagram story, so a little bit added awareness there. And of course, it's pretty cool when you influence the influencers. So America Unlimited, hopping over to Germany really quick, is a US specialist tour operator in Germany. We partnered with Visit Tampa Bay on this, and we customized 2 itineraries for a Tampa Bradenton vacation package. They did a beautiful landing page for us that had the itineraries on there, and then it talked about a few of the cool things you can do in both the Bradenton and Tampa Bay region. We supported that with a digital and out-of-home marketing campaign that we think is pretty clever. It played on the contrast of gray, rainy Germany versus the sunny beaches of the Bradenton area. And you'll see Flory here. Flory lives in Germany, and he doesn't seem that happy right now. Flory is a very common German name. And it shows Flory here in Germany, and then you'll see Flory da, which da means there in German, on the beaches of Anna Maria Island. So let's take a look. So Flory here, Florida. There's a little linguistic play there, playing on Florida and the name Flory. So this actually isn't the final version. There was a call to action that took you back to the landing page where the itineraries were. They could go ahead and book the packages there as well. This ran on digital boards and display boards in and around the Frankfurt area. We also ran a social media campaign with this, some digital display ads, as well as a newsletter that went out to all their top clients. This just wrapped up, and we actually got 20 million impressions off of this. But I think the most exciting part and the best return on investment is that we got 500 bookings from it. So that's pretty exciting. And then last but certainly not least, we were in Condé Nast Traveler, the German edition. I actually brought the magazine here with me if you want to take a look at it. As you know, Condé Nast Traveler is a very well-respected travel publication. This was actually their first launch in Germany, so we were in the first edition. So that's pretty exciting. They did an amazing article on the destination showcasing all the things there are to do and see in the Bradenton area. And I have this here if anyone wants to take a look at it. And we also have the car if you want to see that a little bit more up close. And I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
So thank you so much. You've got so many creative and fun ideas, and it's great to see them kind of in action. I do have one question. So is Canada completely separated from the rest of the international market just because their share is so large?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, we consider Canada part of North America, and we keep that with the domestic market.
Makes sense. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment, Elliot, you got a pretty impressive staff there.
I'm blessed.
I mean, this is amazing stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I congratulate you. Because
Thank you.
Not only a great presentation, but I'm sure it really was impactful for your visit over there.
Yes, and I can't take all the credit. Olivia Sadi is my partner in crime and colleague in the international market. She's also getting married this weekend, so yeah, we're really excited for her.
Thank you. That's all.
I just want to say thank you. I mean, the work that you guys do for our market is incredibly important. I think that a lot of people don't see what's going on behind the scenes and what you do for the overall, region, the hospitality industry in general. I've seen firsthand how hard you guys work there, and being able to showcase it with this presentation, I think fantastic job. The creativity, I think Elliot was talking about the science and the creativity. The creativity is mind-blowing. I loved the innovation that you guys had at your presence at that international trade show. The creativity there is spectacular. And if we need to do anything, we need to separate ourselves in the market. And all I can say is the first time I've seen that, spectacular. Great job, you guys.
Thank you.
Excellent work, and it's amazing what we have here. One thing that I would like you guys to look into is meetings and kind of smaller conferences, especially when we travel. We would like to travel with family, and this is a unique destination where people can come for meetings but can bring families.
Madam Chair, just a couple thoughts. You know I always have a couple thoughts, right? We've had representation over there in London and Frankfurt since, I think, 2009. Our team needs that representation, or the tour operators don't take the destination seriously. So that ongoing communication is paramount over everything else. Tony, you said it. I have artists that I'm blessed to work with, and that's what it comes down to. How do we separate ourselves from the competition? like Kelly had mentioned, they spend more money per day and stay longer than any other tourist that we go after. In a normal year, you're looking at about 60,000 Brits to come to the Bradenton area, almost 50,000 Germans, and then you got a little sprinkle of Swiss and Austrians as well. The intrigue about the Netherlands, Scandinavia with Delta nonstop is they have a tendency of coming a little bit earlier in the summer, June. So that'll augment some of that drop-off. We have a drive market, but not much more than that. So that'll augment there as well. And then the Brits and the Germans come in, give it August 1 through the holidays. That augments because really the domestic turns more into a couples destination, less families. Okay, Ontario is our target market for Toronto. It's a very small market. It's a market that doesn't weather adversarial occurrences very well. So, when I talk to the community, they'll throw out these different markets, and it's like, spending marketing dollars is like buying stocks, right? You got to pick your poison. We could shift and put a lot more money in Ontario, but once that loonie shifts a little bit against the U.S. dollar, it could go cold. Kelly will tell you the Brits are more resilient because we target a demographic that it will weather that fluctuation from the pound American dollar as well as the Germans. So pick your poison. Keep in mind, too, we're not just competing with other cities in Florida. We compete against California. We compete against Portugal and Spain and Morocco and Greece. So that's how important and how competitive this becomes. Joe, don't write this, but this is great. I love you, man. Kelly had mentioned JetBlue going into JFK and Logan. And we're thinking, okay, well, one connection, you're in our backyard, SRQ. There's more to that because the Brits like to do 2-week holidays. So think about it. You're in London, and it's October, and you're saying, gosh, you mean I can fly JetBlue to New England and enjoy the fall season in a great city called Boston and the leaves and everything. And then I can take a short nonstop for my second week on a place called Anna Maria Island. So those two-city partnerships, once again, separate us. We're going to be reaching out. That's why I said, Joe, don't write it, because Boston doesn't know that yet. But we were doing that, Mayor, with Pittsburgh before COVID, having that two-city, because BA goes into Pittsburgh 5 days a week. So very artistic, a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and let's just keep it going. That's why your community is sustaining visitation pretty much 12 months a year because of all those different types of markets. Okay, great job. Thanks, Kel.
Thank you.
And now we have our water ferry update.
Madam Chair, we're going to say hello to Tricia first. Tricia, good morning.
Good morning.
You took that drive from Clearwater. How was it?
I did. It was good.
Great. We maybe have a water ferry come from Clearwater to.
Hey, we'd love it.
Yes.
They need to be a little faster, though.
Tricia's into her second year as our third-party operator. They run the Clearwater ferry to a lot of success. And we're blessed to have Tricia lead this operation, supported by your husband, Dennis.
Yes.
And two great captains, Captain Nick and Captain Jonathan. Jonathan is a former city of Palmetto city councilman, so we have a native guy there. So good morning, Tricia.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Well, I'm happy to share our progress with the ferry service since it began in January of last year. To date, we've had 42,612 riders. We think that's a great number considering our share of challenges, which include those hurricanes that affected everyone so much. Currently, our regular operating schedule is Thursday through Sundays. We have opened up Wednesdays during peak months and have recently added service on major holidays such as Labor Day and other Monday holidays. We've had great site visits to monitor the building of your recent investment of the larger vessel that will service the route from Dunedin, downtown Bradenton, to Anna Maria Island. As you're aware, the current smaller vessels had many days that we couldn't operate, and the newer vessel will eliminate a lot of those water challenges and be able to operate those days. We expect delivery of the larger vessel in July of this year, so we are a few short months of that exciting thing. And on a personal note, I just have to say what an absolute pleasure it's been to work with your staff. They are awesome. They have answered every question that we have. They are resourceful and very thankful to be the contractor for your ferry service. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'd pay Tricia to say her last words there at the end. It's pretty cool. Tricia's on the Tourist Development Council for Pinellas County. So she's immersed into what we do really, really well. We do have a candid conversation. We've had some passionate conversations for the greater good, which, that's really important. That third ferry is going to be 30,000 pounds. The current pontoon catamarans are 1,000 pounds. So it should be able to mitigate a lot of that chop out on the river. Really, really important. Be really candid. This has been a lot of fun. It's had its share of variables, especially coming out of the fall, where it was, 4 steps forward, 6 steps back, because, the city pier of Anna Maria Island was compromised. Mayor Chappie's in the back there. Gosh, he just gets tourism really, really well, and thank God that they were able to get their floating docks repaired quickly with the support of the TDC, because we're still running a two-stop system. We're trying to, and we're going to bring Charlie H. up here in a minute, but we're trying to get down to Coquina Beach really soon. That's a beach of choice for our residents. We need to continue to get, I keep saying about 30% of the passengers should be residents. I do get stakeholders that say, is it sustainable? When will it be sustainable? You never say never, but it's going to be a long road to hoe to become a sustainable operation, because the price of the tickets is good enough that we're filling the boats, okay? We need capacity. The more capacity, the more cars off the road. We got to pick our poison, right? And I keep saying, gosh, if I come to the TDC or the Board of County Commissioners and say, all right, we're probably going to subsidize this operation at $500,000 for the year. I think that's a good price to pay if we're taking 12 to 14 to 15,000 cars off the road. And it's a good price to pay when it's not the residents paying it, okay? So this is the blessing that we have, collecting tourism tax that not only stimulates the economy but enhances the multimodal transportation. So we'll never say never. We're never going to give in to not running a sustainable operation. We're just trying to manage expectations for the greater good. So let's keep on the pedal, Tricia, and let's continue to challenge each other for the greater good, because Charlie Hunsaker and Sherry Swanson are doing a great job trying to help us add more landings, and they're going to give you an update now, Madam Chair.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, Tricia.
Oh,
I do
Yes,
have
Mayor.
a couple questions,
Tricia.
maybe that Tricia might be able
Sure.
to answer, or just comments.
Sure.
When we get the new larger vessel, do we anticipate walk-up?
Ability?
More than right now? Because that's what I hear from a lot of people is.
Of course.
It's full, which is a good thing, but the walk-up and obviously the cancellation will be a lot less.
Yeah,
So-
I think reliability is the answer to that, and that's what this vessel is going to do. It's going to create some reliability when walk-up, they take the walk, they have expectation of being able to do that. Reliability, first of all, it's going to check that box. And secondly, it's a larger vessel, so more capacity. For full with reservations, walk-up ability goes down. So with our additional capacity, I think the answer is yes.
All right, and then obviously Elliot brought up a little bit about cars off the road. I mean, I think that's an invaluable part of what we're doing, and you really can't put a price on that. And we know that any public transportation, whether it be buses, other ways, is not profitable at a lot of times, but you've got to play into all the different avenues that it does help. And obviously, one of the biggest things I think it's probably helped now is Braden and Beach, because I obviously see quite often their boats are coming in full,
Yep.
they're leaving full, and they're coming in full, and up to 40-plus passengers on a 49-passenger. And one of the things that you see a lot, and when I'm walking on the Riverwalk, talking to people, is you actually see them, and I ask them, and they don't know who I am until I tell them, but But I ask them, and they're just saying, this is the best thing in the world.
Yeah,
This
they're
is the
so
best thing in the
excited.
world. So coming to that, and you mentioning about Coquina Beach, where are we with Sarasota? And I know we want to get that third boat, and it's talked about at the MPO meetings quite often, because I bring it up. And I think they're intrigued, but we need to figure out, wouldn't it be so cool to be able to leave downtown Braden and stop at all of our islands, Coquina Beach, go to St. Armand Circle, go to downtown Sarasota, and basically, be able to pass each other in that, because that would be something that,
Yeah.
that would be award-winning in an area that has the waterway to do that.
Yeah, I'll answer that, Mayor. As you know, I've had informal discussions with the city of Sarasota and Sarasota County. Right now, we're just trying to get our hands wrapped around Manatee County. There's a lot of variables. What's the number one objective right now? And Dan Diggins is our biggest island ambassador aside from Mayor Chappie. I don't mind publicly saying that. He's harassing me, calling me all the time with ideas to get that damn ferry into Holmes Beach.
He lies.
Yes, and seriously, and he's been a blessing, and we're going to get there, Dan, right?
Yes.
Because not only are you pulling cars off of Manatee Avenue, but we need to get the hopper service going up and down that 7-mile island for people that are staying out there, get them out of their cars, even out of the trolleys and onto that water. So that is vital. We don't want to take our eye off of that ball right now. I think that we can look downfield and say, okay, what do we want to do 2 years from now? And does Sarasota want to partner with that as well? I just haven't had the bandwidth to really reach out to them and pull them in. I'd be happy to have that discussion, to have that investment, but we really want to get, if we can get South Coquina Beach going, and we've had good conversation with Mayor Short, and Charlie will, and Sherry will give you some conceptuals as well, and we can figure out Holmes Beach, then we're now optimized and rolling really, really well. We do have good communication with MCAT because that integration is paramount, especially when it's raining or there's a mechanical problem with the boat as well. So with Kevin Hoyt and Sue Montgomery, that's been really good as well. So it was kind of a long-winded answer, but we want to be careful that Sarasota doesn't come to the party sooner than we can handle, because we got to make sure that we're focusing and buttoning up some of these voids in our county.
Well, Madam Chair, if I
Yeah.
may continue to finish with this, I think that's important, but I also think the conversation is already happening.
Yeah.
So, and we know the wheels of government move way too slow
Correct.
for most of us up here in business. And if we can bring more business, I mean, again, I think the businesses on Braden Beach without that water ferry right now would be even struggling. They may struggle a little bit now because of the tourism, but without those several hundred people a day when it's open, it's amazing to see the people getting off. And
Yeah.
like I said, I see it every day because I watch it. And one other thing is, it's fun now to watch them dock, because now they've got that momentum. There was a few times when there was a little scary.
Challenging
watching,
roads.
yeah. Yesterday, pulling in and just boom, everybody's off. So,
Yep.
Thank you, I appreciate the
Thank you, Mayor.
dialogue. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Tony?
Thanks, Tricia. Tricia?
I just have a question. Elliot mentioned 30% target for local residents. Do we have any analytics? I don't think I've asked you that.
We probably do. I mean,
Percentage of riders. or
Yeah, we
tourists?
have it. They capture every zip code. Colby and Day just retired, but Colby's staff has done an awesome job with the, I call it guerrilla marketing in the backyard. It's the one time that I say we need to get in front of the residents' face and remind them the ability there. But yeah, we can give you those analytics.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think you mentioned that reliability is going to be the one thing. I mean, getting those cars off the road. I mean, I have a son that works out on Anna Maria Island, and I've sat in that traffic on 64 going out there, and I mean, I think that this is our greatest opportunity for a solution for that. And great job to you guys on getting this going, and I know the pain of getting things started, so, but I do see a marketing campaign towards employees.
For sure.
Heading out to the island. I do know several employees that actually work out there that they would take the ferry if they knew for 100% fact that it was going to get through the bulkhead, that it was going to be there if it had that 100% reliability. So hopefully with this third boat, maybe we can piggyback with that with like a marketing campaign specifically to employees on the island, because I think that would relieve a lot of congestion, parking issues on the island, a lot of those different things. So, but
It's on our radar. Michelle Davis is looking for grants. We applied for a grant for a fourth ferry. And as crazy as it sounds, the ferry will have heat as well, because those January mornings early for employees to go out there to have heat in the inside. I think the inside will be 67 seats.
Yep.
Yeah.
crazy. It can be cold in Florida, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Elliot, if I could ask a question really quick, because inevitably you are going to have weather issues, and you mentioned collaborating with MCAT. How quickly right now can MCAT respond and, pick people up when there is a weather issue or a mechanical issue? And is there any way that we can make that collaboration even better?
Yeah, we're, Sue Montgomery and Kevin Hoyt, under the leadership of Chad Butso, have done a great job. Have we got into a situation where we had a mechanical problem or weather that we needed?
Weather, I would say not mechanical, but weather certainly, but our staff is completely aware of exactly where their departure points are, so they're able to direct them. So in terms of like number or data behind it, I don't have that, but it's taken care of. We don't have anybody left behind.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think it's more efficient than we think, and thank God the MCAT's free, so that makes it easier, because we would have to do vouchers and all
Right.
that. But that integration is really, really important. We're excited to be able to get that hopper service really rolling up and down the island. That is just as important as getting the employee program going as well.
All right. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice to see you again, Trish.
Nice to you.
Who does the analytics as far as your passengers? And
Well, our
are
booking
they
system collects the
families?
data.
Or are they individuals? How does that work?
Well, we would have to do individual studies on that, and I know in the past we've had that, but as far as the data that we're able to collect, it's through the booking software, so they're mandatory questions that they have to answer. Not as drilled down to family size and anything like that, but we do provide all of that to the county, so we could run a separate study if we had to, with putting volunteers or what have you to ask the questions. We have done that in the past. But as it relates to that kind of data, we automatically collect that kind of data.
Because where I'm going with this, years ago, the Urban Land Institute did a study out on the island, and they said the metric nationwide is 2.6 people per car. Is that a metric that you use? And
I don't
because
have
if
that
we took
up-to-date data.
42,000 people, that's 16,000 cars if you use the metric
Right.
2.6 people. But I don't know if that metric is applicable here. So I think it'd be helpful if we knew exactly what the demographic makeup of these passengers are, and if it's a family or individuals and things like that. Then we can make a real good conclusion on how many vehicles it took off the road.
Yeah, we'll work with, it's a great question, Dan. We do give the commissioners some tidbits every once in a while, like 30,000 foot level. We'll drill down a little bit and give you all a report. And then we'll confirm if that, I think the 2.6 is probably still pretty accurate.
Okay.
I usually throw out more conservative data than aggressive. So, yeah, we'll drill down and give you all a report on that.
And one more comment. I'm from the aviation business, and we used to say in commercial aviation, one airplane is no airplane, because you have mechanicals and it always drops down. So I think it's very important that you get two of the big boats
Yep.
at some point in the future, because then you have dependable, reliable service, and it's going to be on a schedule, and then it's a real water taxi. So,
Absolutely.
Yes, agree.
thank you.
All right.
All right, Tricia, I think you can walk away now.
Okay.
Thank you. So now we have Charlie and Sherry.
So, Madam Chair, I don't know if you know this, but he's the #1 senior director in Manatee County government. You're looking at #2. So guess what? I'm wondering when I'm going to be #1 someday. I always mess with my good brother, Charlie Hunsicker. I hope it's a long time, Charlie,
I also
that I
hope
stay
it's
too.
a long time.
Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning.
Him and Sherry Swanson, the brains behind the guy. Awesome job, both of you. And we're excited to hear an update on a lot of the new landings, existent landings that Sherry's been working on with some consultants.
Thank you. You may wonder why the Natural Resources Department is teaming with Visitors Bureau to answer the questions of adequate launches. You know, we're responsible for the boat ramps here in Manatee County. We're also responsible for reviewing and conducting marine permitting. And having a vessel that we're talking about, 30 tons or however you described it, with a draft of 5 feet plus a passenger load that takes it down to about 6 or 7, plus a safety margin of 8 or 9 feet. You can imagine finding 9 feet of navigable water along the shoreline here in Manatee County is very challenging. And our efforts have always been to try to identify touch points that are problems with us. The shallow nature, obviously, you just dig your way out to deep water. But seagrasses here are very important. They're protected. When they're impacted, they need to be mitigated or replaced in other locations, and which drives expenses up and also drives timing. We've developed a particular expertise serving the county for environmental permitting in the marine environment. Sherry Swanson is becoming quickly an expert in that area, her and her staff and the consultants you work with. And so we're happy to be able to say that we're working very hard to find these locations, develop a permit strategy, try to condense a timeline and a cost, because time is cost. But we're working very well, and Sherry has an update on all locations we've been looking at, reaching from Palmetto out to the islands and beyond. So I'll turn this presentation over to Sherry, and please take it away. Who, I might add, works tirelessly on this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. So one thing you'll notice is we had not intended on giving this presentation slide deck today, so the date is not right. However, this is basically a slide deck I use to sort of keep my head straight on everything that's going on. And this morning I quickly reduced it to just the important tidbits, so hopefully you'll appreciate. So one of the things that we also need to get updated will be, this is a map of all the ideas that continue to come from different various locations that are brought to our attention, starting at the Bradenton Riverwalk downtown, Palmetto Estuary Preserve across the Manatee River, taking all the way out to the Manatee Anna Maria Island City Pier region, a location somewhere around Holmes Beach, not necessarily Kingfish, but that just sort of is there to represent Holmes Beach, down to the Bridge Street Pier area, and then south to Coquina. There's a few spots down there, including Lefus Key, the existing boat ramps, and the commercial dock, which we've looked at. We've already talked about the ferry today. One of the reasons we're looking at these one of the things we're looking at these different locations is, will it be able to accommodate the draft of the larger boat that will go from downtown to Anna Maria? That boat will have a larger draft, so in permitting, we're looking at spots and looking at costs for dredging, where we can have cost savings with dredging, various things like that. So that brings us to the day dock in the city of Bradenton. We're working with a consultant on that. We just received the scope of work. The surveyors were out doing bathymetric survey last week. We expect to have that survey to us in the next week or two, and we'll be submitting our permits around June for that location to upgrade that dock so that it can have the larger ferry there, not just to pick up passengers, but also it could stay there as well, last I was told. The Palmetto Estuary Preserve is another one that we're moving forward with actively. We have that work order underway, working with a consultant. We kicked that project off in March. Just last week, we met with some of the stakeholders. There are a lot of stakeholders on that tiny little sliver of land. The one we met with last week was the Water Management District, their SWIM program, Surface Water Improvement and Management Program. Did a project there years ago, so we're trying to work with them to come up with the best location that doesn't disturb what was done previously. Also, the water depths, going to that, there are two locations we've been looking at, one further north, closer to the hotel. Some of the challenges with that is the shallower water and the longer dredging that would be needed to get to boater water. There are significant cost savings that could be had by being able to go further south, but then you're challenged with parking and distance from the hotel. So we're trying to work with all the stakeholders to see which location might be best to start moving forward into permitting, which we hope to do very soon. Here are the two current locations that we're looking at. The one further north is on the left here. That one is near a parking area, not a lot of capacity. I think we looked, there were 9 or 11 spots there. So parking is going to be a challenge that we need to address at this location. The one on the right is a little further south. The benefit of that one is much shorter dredging distance, deeper water depths you get to quicker. But then, like I said, the challenge with permitting. One of the things you see, the dredge cost could be up to $1 million less for the southern site. And the reason there, again, going back to the previous slide, is the dredge depths. Also on this, cost savings we're looking at is all those purple areas are old dredge holes, some of them 19 to 24 feet deep. And we're looking to see if we can work with the agencies to possibly come up with a way to use beneficial use of dredge so we don't have to haul the dredge away. We can use them for a possible restoration. Moving out to the island, city of Anna Maria. That site, we've done a wave wind analysis because as the people know that it's a little bumpy out there when you trying to get on and off a ferry. We've also been looking at viewshed challenges, or viewshed and seagrass. So we currently have 5 alternatives. However, based on a meeting last week, we're starting to hone in on 2 possible alternatives. Alternative D, which nudges up real close to the seagrass, but hopefully not quite in it. And C, which would be a site that would use the existing pier once it's rebuilt. Those are the 2 kind of final ones that we've looked at, and a lot of that has been about, again, dredging cost. One alternative I might add that could help D, alternative D, become even better would be, you see that little red box I drew on this morning? That's the jetty, and the 2 little black boxes are a possible alternative to extend that jetty to help with dredging costs so that the sand transport going from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen wouldn't be refilling in our channel basin so frequently. And we're now looking at an option to possibly do a little deflection on that groin to possibly help with dredging even more. So that needs to be finalized first before we move forward with recommending a few alternatives for there.
I just wanted to add that we're using the same consultant on this particular site that we're using when we renew our beaches. We're $75,000 into modeling these 2 points, questions that will be asked of us with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Environmental Protection. We're using the world's most sophisticated model, maybe a shotgun to take down a fly, but I'm telling you that the answers we're getting will predict and then allow us not to make any mistakes when we move forward. Because working in the marine environment with currents, with waves, sand transport, there's a lot of uncertainties that are resolved by the models we're working with here. Serendipitously, if we don't choose an alternative to create a site along Lake La Vista Channel, we've recognized that extending the Lake La Vista Channel jetty in the manner shown there, no matter what happens, will probably cut the requirement for maintenance dredging of Lake La Vista Channel in half in terms of protecting the sedimentation there. So no matter what happens with this configuration, we hold to the earlier request from the city of Anna Maria to study the extension of that protective jetty on the north side, and its modeling is confirming to us that that is a very good investment. So thank you.
And then this is just our latest timeline that looks to be that we're moving into permitting now. We need to first solidify which alternative we would like to move forward, and that permitting process into construction. We would be looking at around, unless we were able to find efficiencies as we go, which we always try to do, but at this point, just worst case scenario, we're looking at operational by August of 2027 for when people could be getting off the ferry at that location. And then these other ones, the historic Bridge Street Pier, currently the ferry operations are actively underway there. I believe the dinghy dock was completed last week, if I remember, was told correctly, and so folks are using that temporarily. But But we are looking at construction to begin to, basic reconstruction of an area on that pier around mid-May. So that one should be up and running soon. And then these last few are just some conceptual ideas that we've had. They're not all here. Like I said, I clipped this slideshow a little bit shorter, but some location south of the city of Bradenton, near Coquina. We've looked at some of the deep waters that exist near Lefus Key and a possible alternative there. And then we've looked at both the boat ramps, but boat ramps come with additional challenges of people loading their boats, children running around, people hauling their picnics. So there's the 2 boat ramps down there that are possibilities. And then I clipped off Coquina South and the commercial loading dock because those 2, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry and Charlie. There are so many complexities that we don't necessarily think about when we say, oh, water taxi, that's a great idea. But you guys are really getting in there and, resolving all the potential issues and doing it in a really smart way so that we don't make any big mistakes. So I appreciate the work that you're doing very, very much. Do we have any questions or comments from any of our other TDC members?
Madam Chair, just sincerely, as you know, they're both brilliant, and I don't know what I'd do without them. Sherry's hard work, Charlie's long-term guidance with a lot of variables here. Timelines are just that, timelines. Charlie's good at negotiating depending on permit agencies, et cetera. We have Michelle Davis and her 2 third-party grants writers turning over every rock on the planet to see what grant dollars are out there, because we have match money, right? And to preface, even to the media, is all this is getting done by the tourism tax that's enhancing the quality of life for the residents that live in Manatee County, including the Barrier Islands. So it doesn't get any better than that. So we'll keep hacking away at it and then keep you all updated as it gets a little closer. Can't wait to christen that 3rd ferry, though.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it.
All right. So now, do we have any comments, any new or old business from any of our TDC members? Elliot?
I'd like to do a little, he hates me, a shout out. Brian Parnell, raise your hand, please. You have to. So Brian is one of the deputy county administrators. He's actually Charlie Hunsaker and I's boss. No better guy to work for, sincerely. Brian's a retired naval commander. And he's the kind of guy that we love working for, because you know what? He sets the tone, he gives us the objective, and he empowers us to go do what we're supposed to do and holds us accountable. And so he gives us daily support. Really appreciate it, Brian. Sincerely, we mess with him a lot, but so glad to have him part of what we do.
Thank you so much.
Madam
Yes?
Chair, just a comment on, a couple weeks ago, we had the BAM Fest through Realize Bradenton and support with the TDC. And, I mean, numbers-wise, we're guessing probably close to 15,000, give or take a few for the first year, from bridge to bridge, and it was just a great event. So look forward to future support from our TDC and obviously our community. And I just think that it shows another event that's on Riverwalk and what can be done to our award-winning Riverwalk as we go through it over all the years. But just keep growing. So thank you for that support.
Thank you, Mayor. Tony?
I just want to give an official shout out to Elliot and the CVB for this season. It's my first season being open as a hotel, and I've heard a lot about the sister city relationship between the city of Bradenton and the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But being able to experience it firsthand, I got to tell you, Elliot, phenomenal job. As I was spending time with Mark Turley from the Pittsburgh Penguins while he was in town here, he gave a compliment to Elliot, to our tourism director, that I thought was pretty important for us to recognize. The hard work that Elliot has spent years establishing relationships there. He has let Pittsburghers know that Bradenton is not just a place to come watch spring training baseball, but it's a place to come vacation. And I got to tell you, the amount of Pittsburgh and the amount of influence that has been here this season for us. As a hotelier, thank you. The impact was significant, and let's continue to enhance that relationship. So just great job.
You don't want more of me around here from Pittsburgh, right? So I was telling Dan Diggins likes golf. Neil Shipley won the Corn Ferry last Saturday, a Pittsburgh native. So we're happy. Thank you, TDC, for sponsoring that really important golf event. We should have some news coming up, too, on the a PGA event at the concession, so stay tuned on that. Should hear something maybe within a week or so.
Wonderful. All right. If there is nothing else, then we are adjourned.
Thank you.